Yesterday they had a really good time without me. James, y'all had a really good time. Camille, this is like your third podcast, isn't it, Camille? Fourth. You on a roll, right? We're back today, and we are super excited. We have a special guest outside of the office today with us. We have Brianna Bremage with us today. Brianna, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, the camera right there, Brianna. Don't be afraid. People want to see you. Brianna is here with us today because I actually met Brianna through an article that was written about her, and I think it was the AJC. Was it the AJC?
Yes.
And you want to tell everybody about your situation versus me messing it up for you?
Well, right now I was pregnant with twins, and I was trying to receive assistance from different nonprofit organizations, but everybody ended up denying me because my situation wasn't COVID related. So I ended up falling like 3 months behind on my rent, and I received an eviction letter from the leasing office, but now I got it situated with everything.
Yeah, and so, I mean, the story, there was an article written about her, and I think it was about two other women that was written in the article from AJC in reference to her being, you were a part of, for those who don't know, during COVID, we had the eviction moratorium in place, and it expired on July 31st. So at 11:59, it expired. And Congress seemed to have not been able to really do anything to get it extended out. So there's a lot of people right now throughout the state facing eviction. And you were one of those people in that situation, right? And you said you were 3 months behind, but you were denied because they said that your issue was not COVID related. But when we spoke about it, if I'm right, you were pregnant with twins, correct?
Yes.
All right. And you don't have to be nervous. We're just having a discussion. None of us worry about the camera. None of us look over there. You were 3 months pregnant. You were pregnant. And you were pregnant with twins, and the part of the reason why you couldn't work was not because you just didn't want to work, right?
Yeah, it was because my doctor told me I couldn't because my pregnancy was high risk.
Right. So meaning, and for those who don't know what that means, like we've never had kids before. Anybody want to explain it to me?
High risk is like I can get complications throughout the pregnancy if I do like certain things. So with COVID, they asked me not to work, so I wouldn't get sick.
Okay, so basically they asked you not to work so that you don't put your twins at risk, right? So you were denied because they stated that it was not COVID related. Did you ever argue the fact that, hey, me being out there, it was a risk within itself?
My doctor, wrote a letter saying that my pregnancy was high risk, but the programs were saying, if I didn't lose wages, it was wages, hours, or just got fired from the job because of COVID, then I wouldn't qualify.
Wow. So if that's interesting. So even though your doctor said that you were high risk being pregnant with twins, and part of the reason why he said you were high risk is due to COVID?
Yes. Well, it's high risk anyway because it's a twin pregnancy, but with COVID, I'll get a better chance at getting COVID since I'm pregnant.
Right, and then so you were denied rental assistance for that, and that was the reason why before that you were working?
Yes, I was working before I got pregnant.
What kind of work did you do?
I was working as a receptionist at a doctor's office.
Yeah. Kudos, and the reason why I wanted to point that out is because so many times when we do these movements with labor unions, the argument is that people who want assistance don't want to work. So that's a myth, right? And we found that most of those are myths. Like, it's not that we don't want to work. There's situations or there's circumstances that prohibit us from working. So you end up doing that. You end up being an AJC. I found out, like I said earlier, because I seen Senator Warnock post the article, and I reached out to you. And I reached out to you and the other two people. You're the only one who responded. And just tell us what happened from there. So we reached out. You were still at the point of facing eviction. You're a landlord. An apartment complex was put an eviction notice on your door last week?
Yeah, the day after I had my kids, they put an eviction notice on the door. And, my mom, she was going back to the house, checking, make sure everything was okay. And she seen it on the door. And, she brought it back to me at the hospital. So then that's when I, tried.
So while you're at the hospital, you get the news that you're getting evicted?
Yeah, the day after I had.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
So then, I tried to call the leasing office to see if I could, work something out. Because I told them, I'm not home right now. And, I just had kids. But they were like, they already, filed the eviction. So it's really nothing they can do. And then I had talked to, Monica. Yeah, she been helping me throughout the whole time. And we was trying to get help from Star C again. She was trying to contact the lady and let her know, the CDC did recommend that pregnant people don't work also because of COVID. And then we talked to the Must Ministries. That's who ended up helping me pay my rent. And it took about to last week is when we got the rent paid on
Friday, I think it was, yeah.
So right now I'm caught up on rent as of now.
But you just had your twins, and you can't return to work right away, right?
No, I have to wait till my 6-week checkup first, and then after that I probably still won't be able to work because they're preemie, so it's gonna take a minute for them to get to the right size and everything.
And you are a single parent?
Yes.
Assuming? But right now you're caught up on your rent.
Yes.
So if you were to say that you needed help, what would be the help that you would say you need right now?
Just like keeping up on the bills, making sure I have like diapers and stuff and everything for the kids.
All right, so if you're out there, understand that this is kind of bigger than just one person or one particular thing, that this does affect other people. So, in all reality, if you had not received help through Must Ministries, if you hadn't reached out, and probably if you didn't make it into the AJC and people started reading about your story, what would have happened? You would have been out on the streets, and you have another child too, right?
I have a 4-year-old.
So you have a 4-year-old daughter and two newborns. And if you, I wish I'd have pulled the picture with your permission, but you put it on Facebook, so it's public anyway.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but the pictures are, her babies are beautiful. Like, they're really, really beautiful. So you would have been having no place to go with your 4-year-old and your two newborns. So you got to wait 6 weeks before you go back to work, right?
Well, that's if they say I can go back to work.
At least 6 weeks.
Yeah, because I had a C-section, so it's up to them.
I don't know.
Yes,
I have no idea. So you have to at least wait another 6 weeks before you go back to work. So Camille, I want to bring you in on this too, because you've gotten ripped before on here about being a single mom, and you talking about the experiences that you had of being a single mom. How does this story impact you, kind of out of curiosity?
Well, it impacts me with COVID going on now. Most people don't know, but I'm actually homeless as well. I'm staying with someone because we were asked to leave a house. So, not evicted. I do have a job. I work and I take care of myself. But, we were asked to leave, so we had to go. So now I'm in the place where I'm also looking for housing myself. And it's hard because with everything going on with the COVID and people getting evicted and all that stuff that's going on right now, everything is price gouged, so it's higher and it's hard to get in. So I'm running into that problem as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't speak to blessedly. I'm not able to speak to having kids and have to deal with that aspect. Not blessedly. Take that back, okay? My curse is that I don't have to deal with the kid aspect of it. You're looking at me, James, like only if you knew. I enjoy all of mine, but it's just important. I think that a big part of the myth in all reality is that people assume that when people say they need help, that they don't want to do anything to obtain that help. So you went through every process that you could. You reached out to your landlord. The landlord reached out to Must Ministries. And no knock to anybody. The federal government has rules and regulations they have to follow. For me, I just get lost at the aspect. And I think that's the conversation I had with someone in particular when I spoke to somebody from Cobb County last week, was how do you say that it's not COVID related when the person is pregnant? And part of the reason why you don't want them out there is because you don't want to put them at risk. There was actually an article that was out today on MSNBC. This lady's a doctor, and she was pregnant during COVID. She had a baby last year in the height of COVID when no one knew exactly anything that was going on. And they asked her the question, like, if you could have gotten vaccinated back then while you were pregnant, would you have done it? And she said, knowing what she knows now as a doctor, she would have gotten vaccinated, right? Because of the fact that it's already hard to have a child as it is. The risk of your body, like going through different things, is already high as it is. But to add on the fact of having COVID to it in the midst of it, that's something that she wouldn't want to have taken on. So you currently are not working, but you're looking to try to work from home.
Yes.
Right? And you worked you was a receptionist at a doctor's office?
Yes.
That's not a easy job per se. It's not like, I'm saying, like, for those who I'm probably gonna get ripped, but for those who out here who think that it's a myth that people don't want to work, that's not the case. Were you eligible for unemployment? Were you receiving unemployment?
I applied for unemployment, but they denied me too.
Why did they deny you?
The letter came in the mail. It was, I forgot what it said.
You forgot what it said?
Yeah, I applied when I first got pregnant.
Okay. So that was like last year.
Yeah.
Okay. And you had work before then?
Say it again?
You had work before then?
Yeah, that's when I was working at it was right after I stopped working at the doctor's office.
How long did you stop work? How long were you working at the doctor's office before you left?
I was working there since I stopped in December. I was there since August of last year.
Okay. So they probably was trying to say that you didn't pay enough into the system or something like that, probably. But have you had any luck with unemployment, out of curiosity? Have you tried to reach out to them?
I did file an appeal, but I haven't heard anything back.
And if you call up there, do they?
Nobody answers the phone.
Nobody answers the phone. And that's another thing. For we've been actually boycotting with the North. What is it called again?
Atlantic Labor Board.
Atlanta Labor Board. Sandra Williams, and they do an awesome job at that. We've been boycotting it because it's crazy to us that they've canceled unemployment benefits and told everybody that you can't get any more. But at the same time, if you go to the Department of Labor, they're shut down. They're still locked down. Most of the people, when you call them, are working from home, and you hear their kids in the background and everybody else. I mean, so how are you a Georgian? Have you been here all your life?
Most of my life. Yeah.
Most of your life in Georgia. So you pay taxes to the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
How do you feel as a citizen? Like, do you feel like the state of Georgia has done what they should do during this pandemic to take care of you and your family?
Kind of, but no at the same time. Like, I think for like all families, because like, a lot of people facing eviction this month. So I just feel like they could do more to help. Like, I feel like they should be able to extend the
moratorium.
Moratorium, yeah. I feel like they should be able to extend it. Because I know, like, they do have the option to. I feel like they should be able to, because it's a lot of people facing eviction.
So if you could say one thing, because I actually, believe it or not, there was an article in DeKalb County yesterday. Judge just actually extended the moratorium in DeKalb County, I think, until the end of September. He just extended it. And we do know that the local government does have the power in the state of Georgia to extend it. But I don't know. I stand in the middle. Because, like, I hear people's stories, right? I hear the stories of people who say, like, I need help with my rent assistance. I haven't been able to get help. And the reality is, I'll use Cobb County as an example. You're Cobb County residents, right? I think that the number that came out is that Cobb County has only used 35% of the rent assistance funds that they received from the federal government. So that means that there's a whole nother 65% of it still available. Some of the counties have not, some of the states have not figured out a good way to actually put the money back into the community. So I get that part. But I also get it from the other side, where people who are empowered to make these decisions say, well, what do you do with the parent who literally just chooses not to pay rent? Like, they're working, they have a job, they just say, hey, you know what, forget it. And how do we not punish landlords for the negligence of some people, but at the same time not hurt people who actually really, really need the help? And so I get it from both sides. At the same time, though I don't think it helps during a pandemic to have another pandemic of people going homeless because of not being able to afford it. Let me ask you a question. So Cobb County is one of the interesting counties, right? For the fact that we have a chief magistrate judge named Judge Brendan Murphy. And Judge Murphy has been recognized nationally for how he has dealt with the pandemic and how he has dealt with evictions. He was actually just on last Friday or Thursday, he was just on a Zoom with the White House that they broadcast, where he talked about some of the programs he implemented. So tell us, like, when you got your eviction notice or when your mom found it, did they give you a list of resources that was inside the eviction notice saying where you can reach out to for help?
Yeah, they did attach that to the front of it, yeah. Okay,
and you reached out to everybody on that list?
It was the people who I already reached out to, like Must Ministries, Starseed. Yeah, it was basically them.
Do you feel like if you were not in the AJC, do you feel like you would have gotten the help that you needed?
No.
Really? You look like, and you say that confidently, like, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So you say that you still need help with diapers, I'm assuming because you're not working, right? Didn't you start a GoFundMe page?
Yes.
So how could people find that GoFundMe page if they want to find it?
It's titled under A Mother of Three in Need of a Miracle.
A Mother of Three in Need of a Miracle. So we actually will later on, but once this podcast is done, we'll make sure we attach that link to the bottom of this podcast, so that people, as they see it, if they want to make a donation, they can go in there and make a donation. But going back to this whole thing, so Camille, you also, because I was not going to put your business out there, you also But you were very open, so I respect that. You've been somebody who looks at it from the other side too, right? You see it from the other side because we deal with some of these people all the time. You talk to them probably way more than I talk to them. How do you feel about like how unemployment is, how they're doing unemployment? How do you feel about now that we hear a story of somebody who's been impacted? Because I mean, it's different when we go out there and protest with people who have been impacted by the system as well. But when you come close to someone and they actually hear the story of, hey, I applied for unemployment, I did everything right, and they still told me no, and because of them saying no. And let me ask you a question, Brianna. If you had gotten unemployment, would you have fallen behind on your rent?
Yeah, because it probably wouldn't have approved me, for.
I mean, if you would have been approved, would you have fallen behind your rent?
Because they don't give us so much weekly.
But I mean, what wasn't they giving like $300 plus whatever you get a week? Yeah, something like that.
That was only for a certain amount of time.
That just ended. So that just ended the end of June.
If I would have got it like when I applied, then I'd probably be caught up on rent.
So Camille, from our protesting time, and we'll be back out tomorrow. We'll be in Alabama protesting with miners who are on strike, right? Mm-hmm. What impact does that make on, like, for us, like for you? What impact does that make on you? Because you were a single mother partially?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I was a single mom, but her father was in her life. Has been there from day one. But it's different because I wasn't married to him. Right. So I still was a single parent. I had help. I wasn't one of these women who didn't have help. Her father was in her life. Her father did exactly.
Served in the military too, right? Let's clear it up for the last.
Yes, he served in the military. He was in the military when I told the last story. He was over in Germany, from the last story that I told. But yeah, he's been in her life. He's done everything that he's supposed to, but it's still hard. Right. Being a single mom, it's still hard. There were certain things that I had to do, and I just had to do them to make sure that my daughter was taken care of the way she was supposed to. I had a lot of help because I had family as well that stepped in and helped where help needed to be helped, where I needed the help at. I always had family there, so I'm not in your situation. So I understand, but then again, it kind of makes me angry with the unemployment because these people are waiting for their money. They haven't gotten any. People are losing their cars, their houses. Some people are losing their children. Yeah. Because they can't feed them. They can't do what they need to. So the system is coming in and pulling them away from their families. And to me, that's wrong. And we have been protesting down at the Department of Labor, and the doors aren't open. So who's doing the work? Who's putting in the time to make sure that these people get the money that they're actually due? So yeah, it makes me kind of upset hearing the stories and being in it when we're down protesting and hearing the people come in and say, what's happening to them, and it doesn't seem like anything is being done.
Yeah. So I mean, my thing is that I would have to just say, like, from our perspective, it's just that. Like I do agree. I feel like the system it needs to be better. I feel like the system, so we can all agree that the system needs to be better. They need to figure out better ways of putting the money back out into the community, so that we don't have parents like Brianna or anybody out there trying to find a place to stay or needing a place to stay or at the risk of losing their place to try to take care of their kids. Man, that's crazy. To try to take care of their body, so that definitely for people who are so pro-life. I don't get how we argue to be pro-life, but then we say, okay, well, people don't need to have the ability to be able to get, yeah, okay, to be able to take care of their body, we can take care of their unborn kids. I don't know how we have that argument. So I do want to encourage anybody who's seen the show today to check out Brianna's GoFundMe page, and we'll put the link at the very bottom. And for those who are out there, we want to continue to challenge the government, the state of Georgia, the counties, the different counties, do whatever we can do to help people who are out there facing eviction, because at the end of the day, we don't want to start another pandemic in the midst of a pandemic. Another pandemic being that people are homeless because they have no place to go. And I remember, I think when you told me this, and I think somebody else told me that when you guys were looking for apartments, a lot of apartment complexes are full, and they're telling you like, oh, but give us to the end of August or give us to the end of September and we'll have apartments. Why? Because they're predicting that people are going to be evicted. and that they'll have open space during that time. So we want to just encourage people that to hear more stories like this, to kind of understand where people are coming from, and to understand that if it had not been for the grace of God, literally, it could be any one of us, right, who are homeless out there. So I mean, I thank you, Brianna, for coming and telling your story today. We're going to try to do as much as we can to make sure that you get the help that you need for your babies and for yourself, and try to help you see if we can find you something to at least allow you to work from home and during that time. Oh, my mic don't left me. During that time. But thank you for coming in today. Thank you for doing this podcast. And we'll be back. Well, we won't be here. We'll be live tomorrow, but we'll be live from Alabama tomorrow as we go out and protest with the North Georgia Labor Union or something. Labor Board.
The Labor Union.
North Georgia Labor Union. We'll be there with them in Alabama tomorrow. So we'll be live on Facebook. We won't be doing the podcast tomorrow. But thank you, Brianna, again for coming by and telling your story. And hopefully those who commented on her story will, find ways to help. So we're reaching out to everybody. If you can help her, go to the link that's at the bottom of this podcast, and you can see how to give to her GoFundMe so that she can continue to do what she needs to do for her family. Thank you guys for tuning in today, and remember that we can do a lot better when we try to build better together versus trying to do it apart. Bye.